Craft Beers Casual Conversations. My guest this week is the one and only Joe from the Things Joe Hates podcast. We're going to be drinking a porter. This is Dudes with Brews on a Porch.
Dudes with Brews on a Porch presents to you another edition of Strange Brews, conspiracies, murder, ghost stories, aliens. They're all coming to get you, my dears.
Joe, thanks for hanging out, man. Thanks for coming back on the program.
Drew, I am so happy to be here to do another Dudes with Brews. Last time we did a microbrew.
Yeah, it was a microbrew. So this time we're doing things a little differently because we got the same beer. We were able to find the same beer, and we are going to do a little strange brew stuff about some folklore down in your parts of the nation.
In Maryland.
In Maryland. So first things first, let's kick off this beer. You're a big fan of the Founders beer, which is from Grand Rapids, Michigan, and we're going to be drinking a porter. I haven't had this before. You've had it. You enjoyed it. And I was able to send my wife on a little escapade, and she found it.
Send her out for the beer. Honey, go get me a beer.
Yeah, and by that I mean go to the store and buy me this beer. And she listened to the master. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
That doesn't happen here either.
But Founders Brewing Company from Grand Rapids, Michigan. This is the porter. It pours black with a tan head. It says sweet nose with chocolate and caramel malt presence. No absence of hops. Cozy like a velvet. A lover, not a fighter. It says it's let's see, 6.5 on the ABVs, 45 on the IBUs. So I have mine in a fancy little. I think they call these, the glass. I don't know what you call those.
I haven't opened mine yet.
Oh, you gotta crack that open. Let me give it a smell.
There we go.
Well, that was a good one.
Now let me pour it.
It smells like a porter. Very porter-like smell. I will say that.
I couldn't find my Cyberwire glass to put this in.
Yeah, I like that glass. It was pretty fancy.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to taste this again because I don't really remember. I've only had one of these. They were in the Founders was in my local liquor store here, and I walked in and I said, "Oh, they're from Grand Rapids. Drew can probably get this. Let's try it." So here I am. I'm going to try it as if I'm trying it for the first time. Let's see.
Excellent. Let's give it a shot. It's very standard porter, I'd say.
It is, but it's clean. It's real clean.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of hops. I don't taste a lot of hops, but I taste, I guess, enough hops that you could say it's a little hoppy, but not very much, I don't think.
Yeah, not offensively so. Although I will tell you, Drew, when I was down in Houston, the hotel that I stayed at, because I had been there again, they actually did something I'd never seen before. The hotel actually sent me up a bucket of 3 beers, and one of them was an IPA. And last time we spoke, I told you how much I hate IPAs, but this one was not objectionable. I actually enjoyed it.
Good. I'm happy to hear that because I love IPAs, man. I don't know what I never used to, and then over time, over the last year or so that I've been doing the show, I've become addicted, and I love them very much. So I'm glad that you enjoyed it. But yeah, this beer is good.
I like this beer a lot. I'm a big fan of porters. It's heavy. It's not. I don't want to say it's heavy like it's got. It doesn't sit in your stomach like a lead brick like some beers, some porters will. It actually does not do that. But it's got a good strong taste, a good odor, a nice nose, I should say. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Like I would say, they say a lot of times like drinking stouts or porters is like eating a loaf of bread, drinking a loaf of bread, which you definitely don't get that feeling from this at all.
No, you don't. It's good.
It's definitely a lover, not a fighter. So we're going to enjoy that throughout the show here. And we're going to talk about topics. So you wanted to get onto the Strange Brew episode because you say you like a lot of this stuff. You're interested in a lot of stuff, but you don't believe in any of this stuff.
That's right. Yeah, it's, I would love to believe in things like ghosts and Bigfoot and UFOs and all that stuff because it means that there's more than what we can see, right? And I would love to have that to have some kind of evidence, some kind of personal experience maybe where I can where I can believe in something else. It would be nice.
I'm a sucker with all this stuff, man. I believe a lot. I believe in ghosts. I believe in Bigfoot. The topic that we're going to be talking about, maybe I'll have to believe in. I have to get a little more details on it and see. But I believe in a lot of things. I'm pretty sure I've seen a UFO. I'm sure you heard that episode where I talked about that. And so I'm a big geek on it as well.
Yeah, I saw something too when I was young that I still can't explain. A UFO kind of thing, definitely a UFO, and I have no idea what it was, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't extraterrestrial in origin.
Yeah, UFOs just aren't specific to aliens,
right,
or anything like that. So yeah, definitely, I get what you're saying. But we're gonna be talking about Maryland's axe welding monster, the Goatman.
Goatman.
So how familiar are you with the Goatman? So you're kind of in the closer to like the DC area, from my understanding, right?
I'm right between Baltimore and DC, and I grew up a little bit closer to DC, in a county called Montgomery County.
Okay.
And Montgomery County neighbors with Prince George's County. So I'm kind of familiar with the area that they're talking about, but I didn't spend a lot of time in the region of Prince George's County where this is. Although the story that you sent said they were at the Beltsville Agricultural Preserve or something, that they saw that. They saw this monster somewhere. Was that in there?
Yeah, we'll talk about that, I think.
All right.
Something like that, yeah.
Because I have been there. But don't let me jump the gun.
That's all good. So pretty much with this is something I've never really heard of. I recently watched an episode of Bobcat Goldthwait's Monsters and Misfits. I don't know if you've seen that show at all.
I have not. But I love Bobcat, and
me too. He's amazing.
Yeah.
I think he's absolutely hilarious. But it's a show on True TV. Each episode is different. It's like a 30-minute little some of them involve monsters. One of them involves the Goatman.
Oh, wait. No, I think I've heard about this. Oh, you know why I heard about this? Because wasn't Bobcat Goldthwait on Finding Bigfoot once? Or was he on?
Yeah, he had a documentary about Bigfoot. He made a documentary about Bigfoot.
That's what it was. He had a Bigfoot documentary. I've got to watch that.
Excuse me. As do I. Yeah, I need to check that out and see it. But so that's kind of how I just watched an episode, and they talked about the Goatman, and I was like, oh, I had no idea who he was. I thought it was just a thing he made up, but apparently not, because I knew you were coming on the show, so I look up Maryland. Is it Maryland? Maryland? I don't know, whatever you want to call it.
We say Maryland. Maryland.
Maryland.
I live in Maryland.
And then I was like, oh, let's see what's some paranormal stuff up, and I see the Goatman. So some origins of it. Early sightings. It was first reported sighting of the Goatman in 1957. They say they saw him in Forestville and Upper Marlboro.
Upper Marlboro.
Oh.
That's in Prince George's County.
Yeah, Prince George's County. It wasn't until the 60s that the first violent encounter would take place. So a young couple went to Fletchertown Road, and they were being bothered by something in the woods. The young man got out to investigate, which you never want to do that. And, of course, he never came back.
Right.
And then
always
the investigation occurred the next day. His severed head was found hanging in the tree above where his car had been parked. Body never been found. So another violent encounter supposedly happened in 1962 where the Goatman was accused of killing 14 people, 12 of which were children, with the other 2 being the adult chaperones. The group was hiking to the Goatman's home a little too close, and the unidentified survivors claimed that the Goatman hacked the victims to pieces with an axe, making noises only the devil himself would make.
Huh.
So when police arrived, they found half-eaten limbs and a bloody trail leading to a cave. The Goatman.
But
So-
did they ever substantiate these claims, or is this just urban legend?
I don't have the official police reports, but I think this is kind of, I mean, the way it reads, it sounds like they found a crime scene, but of course, you can't label it down to just the Goatman himself,
Right.
but a lot of these kind of. They said stories of the Goatman have been around since the 50s even, and the 60s, but the incident with Ginger the dog happened in 1971.
Right. That's.
Do you know anything about him?
I don't know anything about him. I've never met Ginger. 1971, I was born, but I was very young, so I don't remember this. But apparently, a dog disappears, and they find it in pieces. Right, that the dog was found, but it was headless.
Right. It was headless. So it's kind of similar to the kids and the people.
Right.
Only the dog's getting his head cut off. So they connected the death of Ginger to the Goatman because of a group of teenage girls, which included a 16-year-old had heard strange noises again and seen a large creature the night the dog had disappeared. So this is kind of, in a sense, like a Bigfoot situation where a lot of people have seen them, but no one has any pictures or anything like that.
Yeah, well, I will tell you this. Around, it is, you've got the nation's capital bordering Prince George's County and Montgomery County. But if you get to the outside of these counties, they are pretty rural. They can have a lot of wilderness and not so much anymore, but back in 1971, a lot of this area in Prince George's County just wasn't developed and was still, like forest.
Okay. Yeah, so there's definitely a lot of areas where you could see something unusual. And, same thing with Wisconsin. There's a shit ton of, forests. There's trees everywhere. You never know what's lingering in there.
Black bears. So that's my guess.
I think there's bears. Yeah, that's more up north as us Wisconsinites.
Well, we have bears around here in Maryland. I've actually seen one in, I think it was Washington County, which is like 3 counties west of where I am. I was riding my bike with my friend and my son, and on the way back, we'd ridden out on something called the Western Maryland Rail Trail, which is like a 22-mile trail, and on our way back, we stop, and I look over, and there's a black bear just standing there, and I said, "That's a bear. Let's go."
Let's get out of here. Yeah, I wouldn't be down with seeing a bear. That would. I would be
even as recently
scared.
as like maybe within the past 15 years, there was a bear in northern Montgomery County that walked up to Shady Grove Hospital and like actuated the automatic doors. The bear walked up to the hospital and the doors opened. I don't know if the bear went in. I can't remember exactly how the story goes, but there was actually a bear. So a lot of times I think bears can account for a lot of these sightings.
Yeah, that could be it for sure. My thing, bears definitely do make weird noises as well.
Oh yeah.
Some other incidences or occurrences with the Goatman here. There's been some people who were attending Roosevelt High School, and they would go Goatman hunting. So like,
Goatman.
There's Bigfoot hunting. There's alien hunting. We've seen all the shows.
Right.
And
this sounds like something guys would do to get girls to be scared, so they would cling closer. Right.
Yeah, that's I put on a scary movie back, and that was my movie. Watch an old Halloween movie or something, and then I was like, "Yo, girl, snuggle up with your savior, and I'll protect you." It never worked.
It never worked for you. I never actually tried that one. Because every time I would be watching a scary movie. So you want to watch a scary movie, and girls would be like, "No, I hate scary movies. I don't want to watch that." It's like they understood what my plan was, and they just cut me off right before I could start.
I don't really know that I watched that many scary movies with ladies anyways, unless they were already my girlfriend.
Right.
And in that case, I didn't have anything to prove.
Right.
So I was already there. But so these people would go Goatman hunting. It became a local teen obsession, which I would say a modern day version of that for a while was the clown thing. People dressing up like fucking clowns.
Oh, yeah.
And being morons. I knew high school kids that would go clown hunting. My brother's in high school, so I would hear about it every once in a while. And
when that stopped?
I don't know.
It was when the video of the guys in the car pull up, and there's a guy just standing there in a clown, and one of the guys in the car pulls out a gun, points it at the clown, and says, "Leave the kids alone," right? And the clown takes off. And after that video, you didn't see a lot of people dressing up as clowns.
Yeah, rightfully so. I mean, I'm glad that doesn't happen anymore.
Right.
But so people they call these huntings, I guess, Goatman parties, and they always happen on Fletchertown Road. That's kind of where the bridge and everything happened with the people. And Halloween night 1979 was one of the craziest nights of this person's life. And he's Dr. Barry Pearson. He's a professor of folklore in the English department of the University of Maryland. And he says, if I mention the Goatman on the first day of class, all locals know exactly who I'm talking about. So this guy's pretty popular.
Right.
And let's see here. So he kind of ties it to what students were learning about Greek culture and the half-man, half-goat god Pan or Pan in school. So that's kind of what they think it's kind of tied to, which I guess makes sense.
Makes sense, yeah.
How do you ever fall down any like Reddit holes or anything like that? Let's see what Reddit has to say about it. You said you have a book on
yeah, I do,
this kind of
actually.
stuff.
I have this book right here. No, of course, our listeners can't see it, but it's called Weird Maryland, and it's written by Mark Moran and Mark. Oh boy, Scourman, Sceurman, 2 Marks, and they have
nice.
They've written this book. And they have on page where'd it go? Weird thing is, here it is. We're on page 77 of the Goatman, or of the book. There's the story of the Goatman of Prince George's County, and
awesome.
He's in the book. And then there's also another story about a hyote, which people thought was a crossbreed between a hyena and a coyote, but actually turned out to be a fox with mange.
Oh.
But the funny thing is, there's pictures of it in here, and I look at that and I go, that's a fox. I mean, because it's about the size and color of a fox, and it just looks like its hair's all matted and gross. And we are thick with foxes around here. I have one that lives behind my house, actually.
Oh, really? We have we're plagued by rabbits. We have a lot of deers in the area too.
Yeah. Well, if you're plagued by rabbits, you will soon have foxes if they're
good.
around, and they will take out the rabbits.
Well, I don't know. I guess they don't bother me. I like them. So
the rabbits or the foxes?
I like rabbits.
I don't mind rabbits.
There's foxes around here, but
I don't mind them. But you want to hear the most terrifying noise in the world? It's a fox screaming.
Oh, really?
Oh, it's horrifying. It sounds otherworldly. Just Google it. Get on YouTube and look up fox scream.
But yeah, there haven't been too many Goatman sightings recently.
No,
but there've also been seen around like the world, not just in Maryland. It's been seen in other places as well. So maybe there's another one, but I thought I had. Okay, so let's do some other rumors here.
Okay.
So it is said that a person performed an experiment using animal and human DNA, and it went horribly wrong and created what is known as the Goatman.
Right, and they're saying that this happened on the campus of the Agricultural Research Center. Is that right?
I believe so, yes. So it was a Goatman hybrid was seen around the house. Yeah, around the St. Mark, the evangelist. Evangelist, goddamn.
St. Mark. St. Mark the Evangelist.
Yeah, that was the person who created this person in the Agricultural Research Center in Maryland, where he did this experiment.
Right.
And no one knows what became of the crazy doctor or his unnatural creation, but some say the Goatman still lurking, waiting for his next victim. Where did he get the axe? I don't know.
Right, probably found it in the shed.
This would be nice.
So here's what's interesting about this is that the University of Maryland is a very large land grant college in Prince George's County, and they have a huge agricultural research center in Beltsville that they partner with the USDA, and you drive through this thing and you're 10 minutes outside of D.C., and you're absolutely amazed that this kind of thing exists. And they have all kinds of things there. Like mostly they do a lot of research on cattle. Like they have fistulated cows, which are, I mean, you're in Wisconsin, right? So
Right.
you should be very familiar with cows.
Yeah.
Do you know what a fistulated cow is?
I don't.
So they take the cow and they surgically cut a hole in the cow, and they put a door or a fistula inside the cow, so that you can walk up and put your hands into the cow's stomach from the outside of the cow.
Yeah, I have heard of that actually.
And they do that at this facility, as well as other stuff that they do in research.
I actually used to have a cow at my dad's farm.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. We had 2 cows. My sister had a cow, I had a cow. They started going crazy and breaking everything, so pretty sure we ate them.
So then you had hamburgers.
Right, yeah, then we had hamburgers. So a lot of people say that the Goatman lurks around a bridge in Bowie named Governor Bridge, but they call it Crybaby Bridge.
Right.
And his preferred targets, of course, we said couples are people who dare walk under the bridge or just walk across it. But they say if you park under it after dusk, you might hear a shrill screaming of a crying baby, or even the crying of a goat. So I've seen a lot of goats because I was raised on a goat farm.
Right.
I know what a goat sounds like. So if I ever get here, I'll be able to tell. I hate goats.
You and I,
they're fucking evil.
You don't like goats?
No, man. Like weird stories. I grew up on a goat farm. My dad owned a goat farm.
Right.
And when we used to show the goats at county fairs, at state fairs. I was in 4-H, and my dad would always go on these vacations. I would stay here because I had school, I had work, and I had to take care of the farm, of course.
Right.
So I had to milk these stupid goats.
Oh gosh.
Feed their stupid babies, and their babies are like, I can only hold 2 bottles at one time. You got all these babies, and it's like in one room we have a couple of different pens, but they're small, so you can keep a handful of them together.
Right.
And they're jumping all over you, and you're trying to feed them. The ones are like hitting the other ones. It's like, oh my god, it was just awful.
It sounds terrible.
Yeah, and I just don't. I don't like goats.
I don't mind goats. I mean, when I was a kid, we went to camp. And it was a Catholic camp, and the guy that ran the animal area was a guy named Brother Roger, and he tells me one time, get that goat into the pen, and I grab, I go over to the goat, and the goat just starts headbutting me right in the lower abdomen, not not hitting me in anything, but like right up against the my pelvis, and like pushing me back to the point where I had to grab the goat by the head and turn the head of the goat, and it was just a miserable experience. I mean, I don't know that I'd have such a big problem with it now. I think I just put a rope around the goat's neck and say, we're going this way. I don't know how you deal with goats, if that's the right way to do it, but I think that's how they deal with them when I'm at the county fair.
Yeah, they're just, I don't know, they're pieces of shit. I don't like them at all. So yeah, if I saw the Goatman, I really wouldn't like him.
No.
And I don't know. But yeah, it doesn't really seem like too many people have seen him, unfortunately. I wish more people would be there. And some stuff, you read it on Reddit. I don't know how much of it's true.
Right. So
unfortunately,
if I can change subjects for a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
Have you ever watched the show Supernatural?
I've seen a little bit of it.
There is
not too much.
There is there's an episode where somebody unleashes Satan.
Okay.
And he gets unleashed from a place in Ilchester, Maryland, called Ilchester, Maryland.
Sure.
And it's like an old church. But if you actually look on the map for an old church in Ilchester, Maryland, there is an old church site in Ilchester, Maryland, close to where they're talking about it.
Okay.
But it's much more ruined than in the show. So that's kind of strange.
Nice.
But there actually is an old rundown church.
Oh, killer.
Spot.
Yeah, it's cool when they pull in like real places and everything like that and shows like that, and especially when you live by it, or even if they mention like a small town near you, you're like, oh shit, like
yeah,
we're real, we exist.
Right. I was watching The Blacklist. I think it was. I don't know. I think it was The Blacklist, the one with James Spader. And
Yeah, I think that's right.
Aerial shot, and it says Burtonsville, Maryland, right?
Oh, sure.
But that's where I went to high school. The high school I went to was in Burtonsville, Maryland, and it's it looks nothing like the shot. It's obviously just some stock shot, of a really nice neighborhood. And I lived in Burtonsville for a little while, actually, too.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, that's cool. Some other origin stories of the Goatman. So we talked about the person with the horrible human animal hybrid experiment.
The doctor at Dr. Stephen Fletcher, it says.
Yeah, it's like a Frankenstein version of only a Goatman. Another story claims that the Goatman is one of the devil's minions brought forth by some bunch of Satanists.
I think that is actually more likely than it being a hybrid. Excuse me.
Right, I would say so. Have they ever tried to do that before? I mean, I know they've cloned the sheep. I thought I don't know.
Hybridized
they grow
humans and goats, ruminids,
or people. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure they have.
I don't think it's possible.
No, I don't think so either. They say that allegedly the first sighting was back in 1957 because it became a cautionary tale to warn kids about the dangers of premarital sex.
Aha!
So if Barbara and your friend Edward are gonna get freaky before they get married, the Goatman's gonna fucking kill you.
That's what like Friday the 13th is all about, right? The people that get killed in that movie are all the people that have sex, and the people that survive are all the virgins.
I never really looked at it that way.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's weird. My wife, I got so upset when I heard this story, but my wife went to elementary school in West Virginia, and they didn't want the kids leaving the school ground and going up this hill. So they told the kids, there's an old witch that lives up there and she eats children. They told kids this. These are educators telling this to children.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You can't do that anymore. No. The times have changed, that's for sure.
But, I mean, why would you say that? Why don't you just say, don't go up there because that's not school grounds, and tell the kids the truth. That's what I say.
Yeah, I would say so too. There's some more interesting things. So we talked a little bit about Crybaby Bridge. So kind of the tale behind that, other than the Goatman coming and you can hear him at night, is that a baby actually died, unfortunately, in the river back in the 1950s, and locals argue what had really happened. Some say a young mother went out to the bridge to greet her husband with her baby. It was foggy, and she dropped the child into the river after being hit by her husband's car. And then another story claims that a woman suffered from postpartum depression through the baby in the water. That's I don't like talking about that stuff. Nope. And then another recent theory focuses more on the KKK, but they say that you can hear, if you go there, you can hear that's where the baby, the crying baby. And to be fair, crying babies do sound like goats. Sometimes. I always used to say, my son when he like yells and cries that he sounds like E.T. when E.T. freaks out. Right. I was like, oh, it sounds exactly not as deep and throaty, but
very
pretty whiny. Yeah, absolutely.
We used to.
Do you know about?
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say we used to get clan recruiters in our neighborhood growing up because, like I said, it was kind of rural. Yeah. These guys would come into our neighborhood and they'd put flyers into the newspaper boxes that we'd get, and I come up with my I show this thing to my dad, and my dad gets infuriated, because grew up Catholic, still a practicing Catholic actually, but the Klan is no fan of the Irish Catholic men.
Yeah, that's crazy. They still exist, man. They're still around. I know somebody who she lived in Virginia, and she had gotten a similar thing. She got like a mailbox stuffer recruiting people to be in the KKK. I'm like, what the fuck?
Right.
There's
a guy here in Maryland named Daryl Davis, and he's a black guy, Just look up his TED Talk.
Okay.
And the guy has talked people out of the Klan. He's talked like 24 people out of the Klan. And he actually has a collection of Klan robes from people who have left the Klan. It's
crazy.
It's great. You should just Daryl Davis, Daryl Davis, Davis, and just look him up and watch his TED Talk or watch some of his other talks. It's fascinating.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out.
Yeah.
So, being in Maryland, you have obviously there's a book about a bunch of crazy stuff. Have you ever heard of Chessie?
I have heard of Chessie. We hear of Chessie. It's like almost perennial. Like every now and then, it's the Loch Ness monster version for the Chesapeake Bay.
They say that it's a aquatic snake-like beast with flippers running from anywhere from 25 to 40 feet in length. Been spotted in the bay sporadically since the 1940s.
Right.
Last sightings were back in 1977, but one just happened in 2014.
Right. They happen every now and then.
Good.
I think I remember seeing the news about that one in 2014. Somebody said, it's Chessie. But unlike Loch Ness, the Chesapeake Bay is connected to the Atlantic Ocean.
Okay.
And, we have
maybe
cliffs around here, Calvert Cliffs, that actually have megalodon teeth in them. So,
it's crazy.
Yeah, the megalodon is the extinct shark. The new movie, The Meg, is about that, right?
I heard it was horrible.
I say new. That movie's been out for 2 months now.
I heard it sucks.
I haven't seen it. I'll bet it does suck. It looks to all the world like it was going to suck.
Do you like Jaws?
The movie?
Yeah.
I mean, it was okay. I'm not really.
So when I was in radio, we did a weekly segment. It was called a Weekend Review. And at first I started like just doing like random things that listeners would tell me to do, but then it turned into me watching classic movies that I haven't seen. So like the first one was like Cool Hand Luke, one was The Breakfast Club.
Yep.
One was Jaws, and I hated all of them. I just thought they were so stupid. I thought Animal House was really dumb, and that's my type of humor usually.
Right. No, I bought Animal House thinking, man, I remember this movie being great, and I watched it. I was like, this movie is terrible.
Caddyshack I thought was really stupid. But, Jaws, I watched it. I was like, what's the hype about? Like, I was so happy when that dude died at the end. When he gets chomped on, because he was annoying as shit.
Oh yeah, the captain.
Yeah, I forget what his name was, but I was just like, it's about time he's dead, because I was sick of listening to that guy. But I just a little tangent.
He is an irritating character. He's he's like the sea captain on The Simpsons, right? He's just that kind of a stereotypical captain or character. But you got to remember that in the time it was made. It was a big thing. Yeah, and one of the reasons that movie was so great is because you actually don't see the shark until towards the end of the movie, because the reason is because the actual model, the animatronic shark, didn't work. And Steven Spielberg, who directed it, is one of his earlier movies. He said, "Well, we're just gonna imply the shark," and that turned out to be more suspenseful than actually showing.
Yeah, I agree. I appreciate like aspects of the movie and everything like that. I just overall it's just like, this is
it's very slow moving, I think.
Right.
It certainly doesn't stand the test of time.
I would agree.
Yeah, it's even when I watched it, I was like, why is everybody so terrified of this movie? When I watched it in the 80s, I didn't find it all that terrifying.
So kind of going back into your territory here. Right. I'm just looking at like a list of paranormal stuff going on in Maryland, because apparently the Goatman isn't as cool as everyone thought it was. I think he's cool.
That's pretty cool. I mean, it's pretty cool myth. If you ever get down here, we'll go down to this Governor's Bridge and sit
That'd be
and listen.
Sweet. That'd be really cool. Have you heard of the Snallygaster?
What is the show? That's like, is it Monster Hunters or something like that, where it's a bunch of rednecks in the woods, and they're all like, I'm going to build a trap. I mean, these guys are I watched an episode of that. on the Snallygaster. It's actually a West Virginia legend, but it does show up in this book, in the Weird Maryland book, as the Snallygaster. I'm actually pretty familiar with this one. I'm more familiar with this one than even the Goatman.
Well, let's talk about the Snallygaster a little bit then.
Well, it's the origin of the story is the Snallygaster is like this pigeon kind of permutation of the German word Schnellgeist, which means fast ghost, right?
Okay.
And but over time it has just mutated into Snallygaster. And it's this
That's crazy.
It's this flying, screaming monster that comes out of the sky and picks up animals and eats them, a lot like the Jersey Devil.
It says like kids too. Small. It says a half bird, half reptile swoops down from the skies to hunt livestock and small children.
Small children, right? It's another way to tell your kids be in before dark. I think,
Okay.
So that,
yeah.
you don't because if you're not home by dark, the Snallygaster is going to get you. And then
They witnesses. So there are witnesses of the Snallygaster.
Right.
Say that it cries like a baby and screams like a woman. So maybe it's really the Snallygaster that's going to Crybaby Bridge and eating the people, and people think it's the Goatman. Maybe this is all down to the Snallygaster.
Yeah, it could all be the Snallygaster. There is Theodore Roosevelt actually proposed a hunt of the Snallygaster. An American president proposed the idea of hunting the Snallygaster because he thought he could, get it.
Get it?
Him and what was his guys? The Rough Riders, the Range Riders, something.
Van Helsing.
Right, Van Helsing. That's what it was. Theodore Roosevelt was actually Van Helsing.
There we go. Well, I did read a book about Abraham Lincoln being a vampire, and it's or vampire hunter, and it's pretty convincing.
Really?
You ever read that book? It's fiction, obviously,
right?
But it's they made it a movie. I never saw the movie, but I read the book.
Oh.
Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter or Vampire Slayer, something like that.
Yeah, I remember seeing the movie and going, "Man, I'd like to see that."
I never saw the movie, but the book is actually pretty good.
Is it?
Yeah, it brings in a lot of factual, historic stuff about Abraham Lincoln, and it just like works in vampires, and how he hates them. It's pretty cool.
If I can I talk about another podcaster?
Yeah, go ahead.
Delvin Cox had a guy on his show who wrote a comic book about Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton, and how about how Alexander Hamilton was a werewolf and Aaron Burr was a werewolf hunter.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I've had Delvin on the show.
Yeah.
We did a microbrew with him.
Yeah. So,
and I like his show a lot.
I think that's a fantastic idea. I have to pick up that comic book. I mean, I've got so many things to read that I just am.
Yeah, man. I've just my life is so crazy that I've even stopped. Like, I haven't picked up my subscription box at the comic book store. They probably stopped saving them for me because it's been a minute. Right. But it happens.
What comics do you read?
I was reading, The Walking Dead.
Oh yeah.
Gravediggers Union, Oblivion Song, Kick-Ass, and Hit Girl. Those were like the current ones I was reading. But like I said, I just don't do it anymore. Unfortunately,
I tried to get back into
time.
comic books probably about 2 years ago. There was a comic book called Beauty, which was about a sexually transmitted disease that made you look beautiful, but eventually caused you to burst into flames.
Not nice,
right? But that's how it spread. It spread evolutionarily by when you contracted the disease, you would lose weight to become your ideal weight, and your facial features would rearrange, or any acne would clear up, and you'd be beautiful. So then you would have more sex and transmit the disease onto other people.
You got to get it when you're like 89, right. And on your way out. Right. That's the proper way to do it. Go out with a bang in more ways than one, I guess.
Right.
But one more story here I want to talk about.
Sure.
With Maryland. So have you ever heard of the Glendale Hospital?
The Glendale Hospital. Oh, is that the mental institution?
They say it's a tuberculosis sanatorium
Hold on just a minute.
that later became an institution for the criminally insane. Yes.
Glendale Hospital.
So
actually,
it was-
I think that's close to me.
Okay. They say so. It was shut down in 1981 due to concerns over asbestos, and if that happens, you need to call the law offices of James Sokolov,
Right.
and he can help you out. So they're saying it's condemned and allegedly haunted. Sightings have included patients wandering the grounds, apparitions of wild dogs, and smoke emanating from the crematorium.
Huh.
Strange moans, whispers, screams of agony, violent banging sounds can all be heard from the structure. And one of the most common spirit sightings is the apparition of a man in a straitjacket. It's said that when he was alive, he went insane after an intruder murdered his entire family, and he cowered in the closet. He was so burdened by guilt, he stockpiled his medication and eventually committed suicide by overdose.
Uh-huh.
But so that'd be a cool place to check out. I definitely, out of all of those, I say that's more realistic than the Goatman or what was it called, the Steger guy,
Or the Snallygaster?
the Snallygaster,
Or
yeah,
Chessie.
or Chessie. Chessie might be like a big anaconda or something like that,
Right.
Or a big snake, maybe.
Or it could be a whale. I mean,
Could be a whale.
whales used to come
Yeah.
into the bay and give birth. Prehistorically, it's what the fossil record shows. They used to come in and give birth, and the sharks knew that, so the sharks would come in and wait there for the calves to be born and feast.
Okay.
So-
Was that Jake that just walked by you?
Yes, that is Jake.
Hello.
Hi, Jake.
Say hi to Drew.
Hi, Drew. Never
How
seen
you doing, man?
How you doing?
visually, so I'm doing all right. How are you?
He's always all right.
He's always all right.
That's one thing I've always wanted to say. Like, I hate that Jake always says he's all right. Why can't he just have a good day? Why can't he just be better than all right sometimes?
He would like you to sometimes be better than all right.
Well, that's tall fucking Drew right there. Do you mind if I turn the light on?
No, turn the light on, man. Get some work done.
So cool. But yeah, dude, there's a lot of crazy stuff about Maryland.
There
but,
is.
Yeah. Me and Rob are trying to arrange for me and him to maybe go on like some sort of ghost hunting expedition without getting like a fine.
I have other books here. I think I might have a book called Haunted Maryland. Because, like I say, I want to believe, right?
Right.
So there's all kinds of other places in Maryland that are also haunted. It's a very old state. I mean, the place has been a colony in the 1600s, I think. Oh God, my history is terrible. But there are buildings here that are a lot older than other places in the United States. Not so old as in Europe. You go to Europe. If you ever get over to Europe, they'll say this castle has been standing since the year 2000, or I'm sorry, not 2000, 900.
It's been up for 18 years.
18 years. Wow, that's old. You really get an appreciation for how old things is. The oldest continuing
Right.
operating brewery, since we're talking about beers on this show, is Weinhefstefaner. I think that's how you say it. But they've been brewing beer continuously since 1040 AD. So almost 1,000
Wow.
years they've been brewing beer there.
Nice.
It's old.
I mean, you gotta be doing a good job. Yeah, that's sweet.
But anyway,
Maybe I'll try to get beer there. That's awesome. But yeah, there's a lot of cool
Maryland,
stuff going
yeah.
on in Maryland, and yeah. So I'm glad we were able to dive into some of these, and look into a little more. Like the Snallygaster's got to be one of my favorites. Then the Goatman are definitely way up there
Yep.
on things that we talked about. This is an educational Strange Brew, if anything, which is it's kind of nice.
I'd love to see a Bigfoot one day, Drew. I'd love to see a Bigfoot.
I would too. If I could like have a Bigfoot encounter and then a ghost is just right next to it and then an alien fucking beams down all in one shot, I'd be pretty content with that. I'd be like, yes, I've been right.
I win
I'm
at
right.
life.
You just take a selfie with all of them.
Right.
No one's gonna believe you, but you know the truth. You know the truth, damn
Right.
it.
Yeah, I don't need anybody else to believe me for that. If I saw a Bigfoot and was convinced it was a Bigfoot, that would be enough for me to believe in Bigfoot.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I've seen a lot of hairy people, but never a Bigfoot.
Yeah. I mean,
So maybe one day. But we enjoyed the Founders Porter from Grand Rapids, Michigan, and as we do at the end of every episode, Joe, you say drink it or dump it, and I know your answer. You're definitely
I'm going to
drink it.
In fact, I'm probably going to have myself another one of these shortly after we're done talking. It was pretty good.
I have to have another one too because, man, I was really proud of my pour. It looked great in the cup, and I'm like, I forgot to take a picture for my Insta.
Oh, no.
You know? But first, before we go, I'm going to drink it as well. Founders is really good. They're going to go on my beer map. My wife got me a beer cap map for my birthday, which is, I'm excited about it. So I'm going to pop that in the Michigan one. But let's talk about your podcast a little bit. Where Things Joe Hates, you just had a new episode come out. Looks like you're getting in the works of a new episode maybe.
Yep.
Where can they get a hold of you and listen to your show?
So anywhere you listen to podcasts, just search for Things Joe Hates and we'll show up in the feed. If you search somewhere and don't find us, let me know. Send me an email at thingsjoehatespodcast@gmail.com. Our website is thingsjoehates.com. You can follow me on Twitter at thingsjoehates, and you can look us up on Facebook, facebook.com/thingsjoehates.
Excellent, man. Joe, I appreciate you doing this. I'm glad you were able to hop on the show. I love your show. Keep up doing what you do. And
I love your show too, Drew. I got a really good laugh last week when you were talking about people only listening to your show for 2 minutes.
You gotta listen for more than 2 minutes to get the gold.
You do.
But we'll definitely get you on here again, and maybe our paths will cross one day. Who knows?
I hope so.
All right, man. Thanks a lot.
All right, take care, Drew.
Pew Pew Audio. Goodbye, everyone.